Hello everyone, Tina here. I hope your day is going fabulous. Thank you so much for joining me. Today we are going to create a couple of mini slimline cards. We're using the Spellbinders Clear Stamp and Die of the Month Club kits. This month's club kit is called Stitched Color Wheel. I think this is pretty cool because you could actually use this for embroidery, your embroidery bobbins, which is nice. You just die cut out this with some heavyweight cardstock. And you can use these. This would make a great, there is a hole punched out in here, but this would make a great cardstock swatch too, or ink swatch would be fabulous. And then you also get this beautiful color wheel. So we'll be using both the stamp and the die for our project today for both cards. Along with our Stamp and Die Club for May, we are going to be using the Faux Stitched embossing folder. This is the embossing folder of the month for May 2022, and it is so pretty. I'm going to actually, it's kind of hard, my lighting, we're not having a very oh, maybe you can see it there. We're not having a really sunshiny day. We're having a little bit of a dreary day. It's kind of been raining on and off, but I want to run this through my my die cut machine with a piece of cardstock that we're going to use on the project. This is a mini slimline card front size, at least mine. The size is 3 1/4 inches by 6 1/4. So I'm going to run this through my die cut machine to show you how pretty this is. And this is called faux stitching. So of course you're going to have dot lines and dash lines, but let me run this, maybe you can see it a little bit better. Okay, I ran this through my die cut machine, and you can actually see the pattern here. You have a circle with dots and then dash lines in it and then a dotted center. So really pretty. I'm going to keep this panel for one of our projects, but that is our embossing folder of the Month Club kit for May, and we'll be using this on both of our cards. Now, before we jump in and get started, you're probably thinking, okay, I thought I quit doing the small die of the Month Club kit. This is so pretty. I did create a project with this, and that project will be listed on my blog post with this project. The link for that is down below in the description area. But usually I get the large die of the Month Club kit. I think there was a little error in shipping this month, so I won't be able to create a card with the large die of the Month Club kit. But there's a project with the small die. I'm so sorry about that, but there is lots of inspiration over on the Spellbinders blog if you guys want to check that out. But just an FYI that I won't be creating with the large die because I don't have it, but I do have the small, and this is so pretty, I wanted to create a card with it, so this will be over on my blog. So with that being said, let's jump in and do some stamping. Put this aside, and I'm going to stamp. I want to create a card full of the bobbins. So let me grab my stamping positioner, and I'm going to stamp. I'm going to basically just color in a couple of them, and then I'll do the rest off of camera just to save a little bit of time. But I'm going to use the bobbin that has the thread all on it. And I'll stamp, I can probably fit 4 on here. No, I'll fit 2. We're going to go over our image with my Watermark ink. Okay, I'm going to flip my panel around. We're going to stamp it one more time. Okay, and then we're going to go over this. I thought it'd be pretty to go over this with some gold embossing powder. So I'm going to use the Spellbinders gold embossing powder. I'm just going to go over my images. And I went a little heavy-handed up here, so I'm just going to use one of my paintbrushes and dust that area away. Isn't that fun? Now I'm going to set this aside. We'll funnel this back in our container, and then I'm going to do our color wheel also. And again, since there is some open surfaces, I tend to get heavy-handed. So it's very easy to fix those areas by just brushing away the embossing powder. Okay, we'll set this aside. I'm going to take both of my panels and we're going to melt the embossing powder. Once both of my panels are melted, we are going to start off with our bobbins here. And we are going to zoom in. And I'm just, again, doing some basic coloring. And I'm going to use my zig markers. So I did forget to mention that I'm using Bristol Smooth cardstock for my projects, because Bristol Smooth and zig markers go perfect together. But I have my zigs in a rainbow of colors, and I'm going to use my yellow and my orange. And it's very easy to shade in. This is 050, and I'm going to just basically go over the top, and then I'll go over the bottom with my orange. And well, this is called bright yellow, 052. And then I'm going to go over the bottom with my bright yellow. Basically, I'm just creating a little bit of a gradient. And I kind of got some on the bottom, but that's okay. Filling in these areas, very easy to do. And then I'm going to go up along the sides. And I'm going to use my white gel pen just to clean up this mark. Good to go. Now I'm going to do this. This one I used yellows, but I'm going to do this again, but I'm going to do it off camera using my purples. Purples are light violet and violet. I'm going to use pinks. I'm going to use basically lights and darks. So pinks, I have a light pink and a regular pink. And then I'm also going to use green, to where I have a light green. This is actually called pale green. And then I'm also going to use a light green. And I'm going to do that to 3 more of these. Now for this one, I thought it would be fun to create a rainbow. And so we are going to do that with the colors that I just mentioned. So we're going to start with our pink. We'll go over the top with our pink. Very easy to do, you can see here. Once we have our pink added, we'll add our darker pink. And then we can add our light purple. We can add our darker purple. Basically, we're just creating a rainbow, but we're using lights and darks. And then we can use a yellow. Actually, we'll put the darker yellow against that darker purple. Darker yellow, lighter yellow. Then we can do a light green. And on the very bottom, we'll just do the dark green. Then we have a rainbow spool of thread. Now I do want to add a little shading around the edges. So for that, I'm going to use a pale gray marker. This is light gray. And again, these are my zig markers. I only have the 24 set. So these are the colors that are in the 24 set. But I'm just going to add a little shading around the top. Then just kind of go out. Go around the bottom. Just to give it a little bit of dimension. And then I'll do the same over here. It'll go around the bottom. And that is done. Now we're going to bring in our color wheel. And we're going to use the same exact colors, but I'm only going to do half of the color wheel, and then I'll do the other half. We're going to need 2 color wheels the same exact way. So first, let's go ahead and take our light pink, and we're going to go ahead and color in the top, And then we'll add our darker pink right at the bottom. And then for this, I am going to bring in a water brush. And then we're going to just spread out that color. Kind of pull that dark up so it kind of fades and blends. Like so. So that's our pink. Now next to the pink we'll do purple. So I'll use my light purple. Go over the top. Kind of got to work fast because you don't want it to dry. You want it to kind of blend. And then dark purple. And what's great about when you emboss is it contains this color. Wonderful. So there's our purple. And then our coloring is done. Pretty quick and easy. Now I'm going to go ahead and color the rest off of camera, and then I will die cut them out, and then we will create some backgrounds. Now I have everything die cut out, and I even stamped the sentiment in our stamp set that says, "You have me in stitches." And then I also stamped and die cut out "Stitched with Love." And for those, I just used black cardstock. Now I went ahead and used the dotted insert for our color wheel. And so we have basically 2 halves. I think that's all we need. And I chose halves because I wanted that gold line on our color wheels. Now just to add a little, okay, and then I did do 2 of the rainbows you can see here. So these are all good to go. I'm going to put our dies aside and bring in some gold thread. Now, Spellbinders has a package of gold metallic threads. It's pretty fabulous, and I'll list it down below. But I'm going to go ahead and take my scissors, and right above my top of my gold line on my thread here, I'm going to cut a slit. Not a very big one, you can see here. And I'm going to do that to all of my bobbins. Okay, then I have some gold thread. I'm going to double it up, flip over and then I'm going to add a foam square, secure that thread, the looped part. And I want to secure it on the bottom of it because we're going to end up adding 2. So we secure it on the bottom. Once our thread's secure, we'll thread it through that cut line, and then we can pull it over the die cut line, so this way our thread is threaded through. It's just a small detail that we're adding, and I think that, and then what we're going to do next is add a foam square over that cut line, and then we can just trim it. What we did is a very small detail, but I think it just adds so much, and it really does, and then it's very easy to do. So again, we just trim some gold thread, flip over our bobbin, add a foam square at the bottom, and bring it under our cut line. Once it's under our cut line, flip it over, thread this through our embroidery cut line, and then we can secure it on the back, covering up that cut line we created with a foam square. And again, you can see here. I'm going to just speed through this real fast and continue. Once we have all of our bobbins done, you can see here, I did zoom in a little bit, but we're going to take a black, I'm going to use my memento marker, and we're going to do a little bit of faux stitching. And very easy to do faux stitching. All you're going to do is take from one dot line to the center and just repeat the process. Okay, our faux stitching is all done. Don't you just love how easy this was? And it took all but 2 minutes. And my lines are not even perfect, and I think the imperfections make it look more real. So those are our color wheels. We're going to zoom back out. And then in our stamp set, I should have did this before. Maybe I can get away with the foam adhesive. But in our stamp set, there is a number to where you can stamp it on the bottom. And I'm going to use my black ink to stamp that number. So I stamped one of the numbers on the bottom of the rainbows. And then we'll set that aside. And then for these ones, I created 4. So we have a green family, yellow, pink, and purple. And I am going to, ideally you want to do this before you put foam adhesive behind it. But I'm going to try and work this out. Okay, we stamped the number on all of our bobbins. Now we are going to emboss one more panel. And again, my slimline cards are going to be 3 1/4 inches by 6 1/4. So let's take our embossing folder and emboss one more. I did this one during the beginning, so we need 2 of these panels. And then we have some pretty embossed panels, and I'm going to just leave them white for my projects today. I'm going to adhere these, both of these, to my mini slimline cards. And I had already created them. So we're going to adhere our embossed panels directly to the front of our mini slimline cards. Have a little bit overhanging. Measurement on the card or my panel is a little bit off. And we'll do the same thing to our second one. And again, I'm going to leave these white. That one was good. Now, I die cut out 2 pieces of our foam, our fun foam, and I'm going to adhere my color wheel to our fun foam for some dimension, and I'm going to do that to both of them. Now I'm going to take our first color wheel, we're going to add a little bit of glue behind it, and then this is going to go on the upper edge of our card, and basically we're going to line up that gold embossed edge along with the edge of our panel. And then we'll do the same with this one. We're going to add some glue, flip it around, and this is going to go in the other bottom corner. So we have our color wheels. Now again, if you wanted to do one, you could do that, but I wanted that gold to be showing on the edge of my card base. So that's why I did 2 separate. But you don't have to if you don't want that gold to show. Now I'm going to crisscross our bobbins. Just remove the release paper. And the numbered one will be on the bottom. And this is going to basically go on the, maybe on the center of our card, kind of overlapping. But I do want to add some extra gold thread. And I'm just going to create a messy pile with it. And then we'll add that. Make sure those ends are tacked down behind our foam adhesive. Like so. And then I'm going to add this and that top section. And then we'll add a little bit more of a messy pile of gold thread. Just kind of loop it a little bit. I think the messier the better. And then take those ends, make sure they're behind your foam adhesive. Now for my sentiment for this card, I'm going to put "You Have Me in Stitches." I did already pop it up with some foam adhesive. We're just going to remove it and then add that to our card. And then we're going to go ahead and take some gold color essential gems, and we're going to fill in a few areas. There's a light and a dark. I'm going to use the light. Okay, and then now we'll finish our first card. Now we're going to jump in with our second project. So we have our background. This one's going to be very easy. We're going to create some messy twine. And for this, we'll go purple, green, pink, and yellow, I think. That's going to work out good. So let's add our purple first. And we're just going to basically do some overlapping with our thread. And then, I'm not worried about them overhanging because when you put it in the envelope, it's just going to be flush. But I think that's so playful. This one is Stitched with Love. This is the sentiment we stamped, and I did pop it up with some foam adhesive. I'm just going to remove the release paper. And I'm going to add that over the yellow, kind of overlapping on this side. And then we can take some more of our gold color essential gems and just add a few here and there. Okay, and then once we have our gems done, we are going to call this card good. And of course you can fill it in however you want. But those are my projects today using the Spellbinders Clear Stamp and Die of the Month Club Kit for May 2022. Again, it's called the Stitched Color Wheel. Super fun. And I hope this gives you some ideas on how to use it. Have a fabulous rest of your day. We will see you soon.